you went to New York off the back of it.
I didn't get. That's the thing. I didn't get the prize, bruh.
What do you mean?
I didn't get the prize. Just look at my eyes. I didn't get the prize.
Okay, so wait, let's backtrack. So when you win the prize on the day, they give you the big check, and then they tell you.
That's what I'm saying. I got this big check, and there's no bank to go to. There's nothing I can do with it.
Welcome to the Carvin H Goldstone Show.
Okay, cool.
Is my lighting good?
Yeah, you're cool. I can see your face. You got that Bill Gates lighting. He's got like a filter on it. It's nice.
No, this is standard. This is standard, bro.
Okay, cool. So, so this is my first show. And this is my first guest is Richelieu Beaunoir.
This is a show.
Yeah, it's a show. Richelieu is very important to the whole story of comedy in South Africa. Some of you might not know Richelieu. You can go and follow him quickly, but Richelieu was one of the first people that I worked with. And in fact, he's actually quite important to my own story, because without Richelieu, I probably wouldn't be a comedian today. Richelieu came to see me. Do you know how old I was when you came to see me? When you first came to see me, do you have any idea how old I was?
I'm gonna put you at like 25 or something. I don't know.
I was 22.
Yeah.
I was 22 years old. I just started doing comedy, 2006, and in 2007, Richelieu came to see me because he wanted to be a comedian, right? And well, I was the only other person that people kind of knew in the area that did comedy, and so Richelieu came. We sat in the lounge. Yeah,
but you know where I first saw you? I saw you at this place called Thunder Road. Was it called Thunder Road?
Yeah, Thunder Road Diner. So Thunder Road Diner in Florida Road was where we kind of started what we were doing.
Yeah, and when I went to see you, I had no intentions of doing comedy, bro. I was just always into comedy my whole life, right? And I don't even know how I found out about that show or how I ended up there. I don't know how I got there that night. And when I got there, it was a very gothic room.
Yeah.
And, it was like there's pictures of Black Sabbath on the wall, and everyone's got like these black painted nails and
the thing I remember most clearly from that night is there was a guy who had a T-shirt with a bus, and you know where the bus on the front says Durban or Amlazi, it said hell, and I was like, my mother's not going to accept me being in this place. But anyway, that's where we were.
And I knew you were like I didn't know you personally, but I knew about you because I used to go to youth, and then you were like big in the church. So like the dudes I used to go to that youth with, that's how I knew about you. But I knew you were very churchy. So when I saw you there, I was like, nah, bro. This guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can also be here.
And I saw you perform, bro.
And then you came to see me afterwards at my place. You came and sat in my parents' place. So you came to, although my parents weren't here, were they? They were gone.
No, it was just you.
And you came and sat in the lounge, and you spoke about being a comedian, and then we set it up. It was the first show, and Richelieu, for those of you who don't know, is the first Comedy Central battle champion, roast battle champion. I don't know. Now you're one of those people that, like, when people hear that you're a comedian, it doesn't not make sense, because from what I've picked up, you were kind of funny even back at school. Like you were the guy that teaches. Like in my case, people see me that I grew up with, and they can't put the two together. But in your case, you always were funny.
Yeah, but it's weird because I was funny to like a select group of people. You know what I'm saying? So like I wasn't like the popular dude, and I was funny to my group of people that were immediately around me. Like people that know me from school, they were in my class and stuff. They're also like, what? This guy couldn't speak a word. You know, like just.
Now you're doing this. Yeah, full time. So what happened is, for those of you who don't know the backstory, Richelieu came to see me. He had this idea of doing comedy. I didn't know much about setting it up either, because I had also just been a few months in. And so we kind of set up this first show, which was at the Twisted Lemon. And like, it's amazing how your life kind of all wines together. I used to do music at that time. I used to be a rapper when I met you.
Oh yes, you had the
yeah,
advert. Yeah.
yes, I had the Reebok advert. And a friend of mine who knew people was a white guy, of course. White guys know how to organize bars. A friend of mine, Clint, I said to him, I'm looking for a space. He lived in Westville. The closest space to his house was Twisted Lemon, the spot. He knew the spot. He knew the manager, whose name was Brad. I remember the guy's name. It's so weird. The guy actually inboxed me 2 years ago to say, do you remember that epic gig we did? Imagine that. It was like all these years ago. This guy still remembers how epic that gig was. And it was epic because it was the first time that you stepped up, yourself, Timothy Williams, Senzo, and Neil Green. It was all of your, that was your moment. And it was a play thing to do, right? It was to put on a show. You guys, about to put on a show with no one who actually knew what they were doing.
That was crazy because I spoke to Senzo only. I only knew Senzo, knew Neil, and knew Tomo. I knew Tomo. I knew Tomo was funny as well because Tomo was my bruise, brah. So when I met him before, I actually met him at my house at a party. They had like a thing where like a year-end thing, and my brother, and he came there, and I ended up chilling with him. That's the only thing I knew of him. It was very funny, bro. So when you said Tomo, I was like, this
should be fine. Yeah, and so there we were, right? We set this thing up. Now Richelieu, for those of you who don't know Richelieu, there's a special playing on the moment on TV at the moment called Wemzansi. It's and he's the host, and he pulls it together. And for those of you who watch him, if you ever watch Richelieu Beaunoir hosting, he is the master of the improv, of the quick response, of the reply. And if you want to know where he learned this, I don't think he learned it in comedy. I don't think he learned it from being a comedian, because from show one, he decided he wanted to host. And I'm not sure what was going through your head, but that's what you did.
It was very strange because I have no idea as well, because when I can remember clearly when the show started and we were like, because I was nervous. I was still working that time at Blake and Associates. And I was nervous. And the thing is, I had material because I'd written, it was a very strange thing that happened. I wrote material for no reason. I didn't have any idea. My parents had moved to Australia, so I was at home alone. And every night I would just sit and write material because I had a spindle of DVDs. So like on these DVDs, there was but I'm talking about all comedy. I'm talking about, think of any comedian was on the spindle. And I just would lay in bed and work through these spindles. And one day I was like, hey, you know what? I can do this. And I started writing stuff. And then I saw you, and you were talking about your house and your family and things that I was familiar with. And I was like, brah, I can get into this thing.
Yeah. Because I don't know how you feel about it, and I think we've disagreed a few times about this, is that in some ways the success of your first hosting gig kind of set you on a path where you became the host. And then when you moved to Johannesburg, like people know, if there's a group of comics, who's gonna host? Of course, Richelieu's gonna host.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? How did that kind of dictate the rest of your career, being a host so early?
It's for me. I think it made, like, because I don't get the opportunity as a host. You don't get the opportunity to build a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's I guess the negative side of hosting. So for me, when I came to Joburg, I was also hosting. It was a new thing because, like in Durban, you host in a specific way. It's always a minimal group of people. It's always either one race, and it's like that type of thing. When I got to Joburg, there was a language barrier. Like I didn't understand the landscape. I couldn't like call on references. Like if someone says something, I can't be like, you must be from Boksburg, or you must be from Arrow. I didn't have those references, so I was literally working there. But I felt that it didn't allow you to do the story. It didn't allow me to create like the story from beginning to end at any time, because after 8 to 10 minutes, I got to leave. Then I got to come back for 2 minutes. Then I got to leave. Then I got to break. Then I got 10 minutes again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, though, the weird thing is, though, I do love the thing where something comes out of my head right now and I say it, and it's like the biggest thing that happened for those people. And that for me, and I go home, I'm like, yo, bro, I blew their minds. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, you also write a lot. You wrote more than all of us. If I remember those early days, you were the guy who had the most like prepared material. Like you had pages, and you would go home, do a show on Friday night, go home, rewrite a whole new set for the
Yeah.
Saturday night, and kind of that was like something that you were quite you even though you were hosting, you were still doing the comedy thing. Like I would say that at the best level for like the level we were all at.
Yeah, I thank you for that. But you know what I think it was though? It was like when I wrote when I want to be on like any situation that comes to me. So like if I ask you a question or if you bring up a thing or anything that happens, I want it to be ready. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So if you're a bus driver, if you're an accountant, or if you just say something, I want to be ready for that. So that's what influenced me to write more. It's like I wanted to be more ready for anything that someone says off the cuff. And then when that's written, that opens another door for another dimension of thinking. So that's where I always was, bro.
So then, what happened was when you left Durban, you got to Johannesburg, and you're kind of finding your feet, and then you bump into Jason, I think it is first, and Jason told me an interesting story a few years ago. Jason was booked to perform on the cruise ship, Jason Goliath, and he's told me about his early days because Jason wasn't a comedian, right? And he said Richelieu Beaunoir was the person that took him under his wing because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
had the connections to the industry. How did that like all happen?
So with him, I'll tell you what happened. There was a thing that Pops used to run was at in North in the Dome, Northgate, whatever it's called.
Mm.
It was called Jets, I think it was. And
Yeah, yeah.
one day I came in. Yeah, I actually was chilling with you there the once, and I came in there, and I met Jay and I met Nicholas, and then they had a show. And because I used to go to comedy just because I was new to the city, I would go to everything, like anything that was happening. But I was just greedy. And I saw Jay, and Jay performed, and he did this joke about if you won the lotto, you'd buy himself a cow's liver and you put it inside himself and you drink. Like that's stupid. It's funny though, but he did it in a Durban colored accent, like a colored Bali from Durban. It was very specific. It was, and for me, I was like, I was blown away because I was the only one that sounded like that. Myself and Robbie, you know what I mean? Nobody else sounded like us. And then I was like, yo, dude, that's funny. And we just started hitting it up. And then I was actually running a gig up the road from me. And there was another thing I was involved with. So I started just taking him along to come and get in. Then one day he was like, why are you doing this, bro? I was like, my man, you're funny. And I think you're very funny. And I think what you have, you can build it into something. And he was like,
I think the word he said is you said you believed in him, which was quite powerful, I think, for him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said to him. I remember exactly the time we were standing outside this in Ravonia, outside Teasers, because the gig was downstairs from Teasers.
Yeah.
And but
Lolly
he was
Jack,
acting.
shout out.
Yeah. And he couldn't. He was like the way he was behaving was he was weirded out. Like he was like because he asked me before. He's like, "Why are you doing this?" And I was like, "Bro, let's go." And we got there, and then after the gig was dope. And afterwards, he's like, "Bro, why do you keep calling me? Why do you keep bringing me? Why are you doing this?" And I was like, "Bro, I believe that you have something." And then that's, I guess, the backstory, bro.
Okay, but then it's interesting because I kind of bump into them just as they're starting a Wednesday, Nicholas and Jason. And a Wednesday becomes a bit of an institution in Johannesburg comedy. It becomes the seed for what becomes Goliath. And you find yourself kind of in the mix at that time. So that encounter with Jason and the Away Mzansi is almost, I would say, like we're getting to the end of that period.
Yeah.
How would you define like that period where you were with the Goliaths, but you weren't really a Goliath because you're obviously a Benoit.
Right. So like for me, you know what it was like laughing stock. That's what I wanted for myself and I was proud when laughing stocks.
And laughing stock is what we had in Durban. It's not like what we used to do.
What we used to do. So for those who don't know what laughing stock is, it was our show in Durban, which I would host. We had Carvin was one. We had the same lineup every month. This is the thing, bro. We had the same lineup every month, and every month everybody would do different material.
Because we didn't know how it worked, right? Just that you have to make new jokes every week.
But the people loved it, bro.
Yeah.
We had a solid group. We had Nene, Fiso Nene, it was you, it was Neil Green, Senzo was still in, Timbo was still in,
And Robbie Collins and Simi used to drop. Simi Arif used to drop.
Simi dropped in. Robbie dropped in. Dusty dropped in.
Dusty Rich, yeah.
It was dope. And when I came to Joburg, that's what I wanted to have the same thing. Once Laughing Stock in Durban ended, and then away Mzansi, I mean the OMG, Wednesday started happening, and then I hosted I would say all the shows, probably like 9 shows in the whole time that somebody else hosted. So I was standard the host. That's what I wanted, and it just went and went and went, and then it also started. The venue started closing on us, and we started getting weird things started happening, and then shows couldn't happen, and so that started to slow down, and then we started moving out of, because we were closer to the south where I would say many colored people are, which is basically the people that would support you at the start. But then Goliath was born. But I also felt that's where we started to kind of drift away, because like it is with business, bro. So the business part of the thing, it kind of got to J&M where they were more focused on obviously getting the business started. And then once the business started going, they were more focused on getting more for themselves through the business, you know what I mean? And then it just started growing, and it just grew I grew out of it, you know what I mean? Or it grew out of me, that type of thing.
So from that point, and like that's why I say away Mzansi in some ways, which is on Mzansi Magic if anyone wants to watch it at the moment. And you hosted the whole tour. How big was the tour?
So we did, I don't know if it was 6 cities or so. So we did Durban, we did Maritzburg, we were in Cape Town, we were in East London, we were in some others like PE. We did about 6 or so things. We traveled around, and then it was insane. So I was hosting the whole time.
That was how many years ago?
Sure. You know, it was like 2015, I think it feels like.
And it's still like that popular that Mzansi had to choose 5 or 6 specials, and they chose Away Mzansi. For you, it was also a defining moment, right? Because this was your, you'd been on TV before though, right? Before the Away, and you were the original Proudly Coloured.
I was on Proudly Coloured, and I was also on the thing. Remember Joe Parker? They had the thing at Parker's, the live at Parker's.
Live at Parker's. Yes. So you were already on Comedy Central prior to that, but you did a set there. You want the host.
Yeah, I did a set.
Okay, so just if I can segue us here, because I just introduced the topic. Proudly Coloured was an interesting, I think, period for all of us, because you for the most part, we as the comedians, especially from this part of the world, controlled our own comedy and our own destiny. And all of a sudden, you had an outside entity in Charles Stalls, who had quite a huge base of followers through his Durban nights, and now he was putting on comedy events, and that from my side didn't always work. My relationship with Charles was not great, but yours was also up and down.
Yeah. Okay. So with him, it was also, I've always been that guy. So with him, it was how I got into the whole thing. Firstly, was he phones me up out of the blue. I don't know him at that point, and then he phones me up. He's like, "Yo, I heard," and then I went to meet him, and then he wants to do a show. I was like, "Cool." He's like, "Where do you think?" So I gave him an idea. We did a couple of venues. So I told him the venue. We did the venue, which was on Louis Botha.
The Victory.
The Victory. So he's like, "Who do you think you should put on?" Gave him an idea of the lineup. We had a big argument over he wants Trevor Noah on. Then I was like, if you're putting Trevor on, it doesn't help what we're trying to do. Do you know what I mean? We're trying to do a different show. Yeah, he's already on his way with stuff. So if you put him on, then it's just you continuing his show. So he disagreed with me. We couldn't afford Trevor anyway. And then,
Trevor was still on the circuit that time. You could actually, you had that amount of money, you could get Trevor into a show. It was like 2010, 11?
Yeah, it was, but that time, remember, Trevor had just gotten into the Daywalker arena. So he had just gotten out of doing clubs. He was never going to do it. And then the show happened. It was at the Victory Theatre, and bro, it was, I promise you, I don't like to talk, but it was not nice at all, because there was people flown in, they were promised to get the accommodation, they were promised to get all that type of thing, and none of that happened. They were all sitting at the venue with their cases, Neil Green included, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I had
clothing bags,
Gino
Fernandez, all of them, bro.
Yeah.
And I became the scapegoat. So Charles doesn't like me now because I became the scapegoat, even though I was the one who helped him put the show together. I put the show together, I would say. He was more of just the guy that made the phone call. So everything else was the ideas that I gave to him, right? And then, so he didn't want to pay or something. He had an argument over payments while I was still there after the show. We had 2 nights. We did Durban and we did Johannesburg. On the first night, he has an argument over payments and stuff. I wasn't even cared. I didn't care. I was just sitting and drinking after the show.
Which was a common thing, I suppose, in the early days was to just like all of us were very flippant about money and how the money was. But none of us really put our foot down too hard when it came to money because we were just excited to be here, most of us. We were just happy. We couldn't believe we were doing this thing.
And that's what...
it was an awesome opportunity to exploit.
Yeah, and so the person so Ronnie Modumole was obviously more experienced. He's putting comedy from like the Pure Manatsi show, and everybody knows him. So he came to me and he said, "Hey, are we getting paid?" I was like, "No, bruh. Just speak with Charles." And then he went to speak to Charles, and then they had obviously disagreements of some level. And then when I left, I walked out, and when I got to my car, he phones me, Charles, and he started swearing me on the phone and telling me that I trying to get people, and I think that I am God, and it was ugly.
That's funny, considering how everything turns out later. Because later, actually, Proudly Colored becomes a vibe, right? It becomes a little bit of a cultural thing. And Font and Prince, Virgil Prince.
Neil too. Neil keeps going back.
Neil Green, Justin, Ray Stoffels, Shimmy Isaacs. I think eventually people, even some of the bigger guys, I think at one stage Joey Rasdeen maybe, and Kurt Kunrad. And so there's this whole like movement of comedians from around the country who get involved with it, but not like really. I'm not sure what all their stories were, but a lot of them came out of it with a bit of a sad story. Not a sad story, but like, oh, dude, I need to tell you. Which is a story about being people like watch us tell jokes, and they don't really understand like behind the scenes. There's lots of that happening. But anyway, in some ways, it also it opened, I think, our minds a bit to possibilities and how audiences do exist. And someone who came from the club, he came from the clubbing sort of background. He had this net of people that I think many of us didn't really tap into as much as we could have if we had known, because we didn't really know that there was this many people who would respond to an event like this.
Right, you're right, because we were looking for people who wanted to watch comedy only.
Yeah.
And he was doing
like comedy, not ordinary people, everyday people who are also comedy fans.
Because like the second night of that show, he actually found all the comics on the lineup and told him individually to tell me when I get to the venue, just Bet Center, when I get to the venue that I'm not allowed to host the show. So he told
Okay. So I was there that night. I think I popped in. I was there at the Bet Center show. I think there was a guy from Swaziland, Dale.
Yes.
Yeah, he was on that night too. Was his name Dale? I think his name was Dale.
His name was Dale. I can't remember his surname though, but I remember there was a dude from Swaziland. The same lineup from before. But he just didn't want me to perform, bro. And he just was like, he comes to me like even before the show, he's hiding. He doesn't want to speak to me. Then he says to me, "You go on, you do 5 minutes, you come off. You go on again, you do another." And I was like,
which was a strange thing, right? Because we found ourselves in a position where we had almost surrendered the authority of the industry that we were building to someone else to be able to tell us, you don't do 500 that you have built. And yet somehow it happened. And I think it happened not just with us, it happened throughout the country where people from the managed to control our spaces. But I'll tell you what that whole period did do for me personally is it made me focus a lot on myself. That whole period when I realized that this comedy that we're doing together actually if someone can come in and kind of like take over so easily, in Charles Starks' case, and almost take over the audiences, then I actually need to focus on what I'm doing. And that's when I started doing like my solo shows. But prior to that, people don't know this, that prior to doing that, I actually decided that I wasn't going to be a comedian anymore. I'd actually stopped performing. I'd given it up. I was done with the space. I was going to be a journalist. I was a journalist, and I was going to focus on journalism. I wasn't going to mess with this industry. It was there are too many things, too many elements, and also I'm a deep Christian at the point, and there's so much blasphemy, which is new. And I'm also fairly young, right? I'm still early 20s, so everything's new exposure to me. And I decided in that moment that I'm not going to do it, and that's that. I move on. But you continued with Laughing Stock for a long time.
Yeah, that came
and
going.
Came to see me to convince me.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember.
I remember, because I remember after the first show at the Twisted Lemon, the first thing you came to me and is like, "Yo, bro, why were you swearing so much?" And I was like, "I don't know," because I honestly didn't know.
No, so you watched it again. You watched it again.
I watched it again. It's not different from. and you said to me, is it because you're nervous? Is it like a nervous thing? So like if you're nervous, do you just like go to swearing? I'm like, bro, I've never done this before. This is the first time
you don't know.
I don't have a reference point. Maybe I watch too much comedy that hears people swearing, whatever. And then, after that you were out? Like literally, you didn't do another show, did you?
No, I did. I stuck around for a bit. I was around because it was only later. It was maybe about.
Did you play in Kwasuka? Did you play in the church? In Kwasuka Theatre?
No, I didn't play Kwasuka, but but remember I worked on Fridays. I was a journalist for the Independent on Saturday. So I worked in the so it wasn't that's when you called me looking for a comedian, and that's when I put you on to Nene. Yeah.
Yes, I remember
because
that.
People probably don't know this, but at the beginning of the scene in Durban, I started in the same batch, which was the year before you guys, with Sofiso Nene and Sunpiwe Shembe and Celestin Thuli and Justice Kubeka, Fly Motion, who so weird. They're all proper, legit. Some of them 100,000, 200, 300,000 followers, like fully fledged careers. But back in 2006, we were at the again. This is crazy. This is the story of comedy in Durban. We were at the whim of Manwabisi Grootboom, who controls the space. He controlled the space, and you couldn't get on a stage in those early days unless Manwabisi Grootboom had created a way for you to get in. And the only and because he worked for the council, they had this whole project where they were putting on shows. The shows were sponsored. There was not a lot of pressure to sell the shows because there was money behind it. And after kind of doing your own thing, that was the next thing you did, was where you jumped on one of these shows. And that one also, and I hate to do this, but that one also turned into a bit of a mess.
Yes, I remember we were sitting in a meeting with his boss in a place in Florida Road in a little clandestine little room. Remember that?
Yeah, Eric Applegreen was his boss because he had owed so many of us money. And I don't know if you remember the meeting, but one of the issues in the meeting was why hadn't we been paid when there was a fund called, I think it was called The Arts, it was a Durban, which was set aside for us to be paid. And it was quite a surprise that we had gone that far. But then at the end of it, I don't know if you got paid. I got paid like the next day, and we'd been waiting for.
But it's been a year. At that meeting, he looked at me and he treated me like Brutus and Caesar. He's like, "You too." I was like, "But I also didn't get paid." I paid you. Because it was weird, bro. Mono BC was whining and dining me, bro. To be like this, what you don't know is that in that period, as much as we did the shows, Mono BC, I was meeting up with him on occasion, but like he wanted me to open for John at the Kwasuka. John is trying a new material before he does his one-man shows. So he brings me there, I chill there, we watch John, we chill with John. I knew John already, but he was like kind of putting me in there, sitting and have drinks. A week later he calls me, we meet with Joey, we meet with like the whole time he keeps putting me into these people's spaces. And then we did his show.
And he was powerful like that, right? Because he had the ear of the whole industry. I mean, the first time I met Luis Ogola or John Christmas or anyone was in a gig that Manuel BC had set up. And if you never found your way into that space, you never like met. And I'm talking about, we were comics for like months. I'm not saying like 3 months that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing with me, the same. So like when you didn't get paid, you was pretending like, how can I be with Carvin on those? But I'm like, as much as you be chilling and be drinking, bro, you still need to pay me for standing. But in a theater, you know what I mean? In a theater, bro, we did a show at the Playhouse. It was packed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, the minimum you could do is pay me, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a show. That was also the show, and this is crazy because if I can tell you that lineup that day, the show I was in, it was myself, it was Mervyn Pillay, Kubeshin, Naidu from the Dinglings or from Keeping Up with the Candace, John Christmas was the headliner, and Trevor Noah was the host. And in the meeting, he still explained, the show didn't sell, and I was like, wow, you got that many people on your lineup and the show can't sell. You can't blame the acts. I mean, the acts, they lend you their personality. But we kind of went through that period without, aside from that, we never really like shook hands and resolved. It kind of just dissolved and we all kind of just moved on with our careers.
Yeah, we just carried on to our lives.
So there we are now. Like we get into the later stage of our career. You find a bit of a niche in the fact that you are a host. And then part of your skill as a host is that you are able to come back quickly.
Right.
So, which lends itself to battling.
Right.
So the roast battling, I think that's fascinating because you get through the roast battle and you get to the final and you verse Robbie Collins in the final.
Yes.
And Robbie's like the guy you came up with in Durban.
Right.
So what was that whole experience like?
Okay, so for me, I always talk about the roast in that. I remember the day when they asked me to be, because Ryan Hardet was the one. I met him at his coffee shop, and he's like, yo, if they put a show together where you're roasting each other, will you be keen to get in? I was like, brah, I'm all the way in. Put me in. And he's like, okay. And then we start doing the show. And then for me, but I promise you, if there's one thing I've been doing the longest time, it's always been roasting, bruh. It's what I've always been doing. Like I think I told Liam the story when I remember the first time somebody like guar me or roasted me. I was like 7 years old, and I was walking. I used to stay in Newlands, and I used to go to school in Greener Park. And my mother dropped us off in the morning there, like at 6 by my granny, and we'd hang there till like 7 or 8 when school starts. And I walk down to school, and there's a group of dudes, and they're all laughing, ha 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 ha. They all laugh. So I don't know what's going on. They're all older, right? Then I come closer and I listen, and I hear one guy say something, and they all, it's funny, so I also start laughing. So dude looks at me, he's like, you're laughing? I'm like, it's funny. And he says to me, your granny goes boxing in your grandfather's underpants. Yeah. And it was like, it felt real. I felt like I didn't understand what was going on, right? I was like, does he know my granny? Like, does he know my grandpa? And he's like, yeah, your mother's so fat. And he hit me with another one. And then from that day, bruh, day, I made it I was like, nobody's ever going to jump me like that again, bruh. And you
had no response, right, at that time?
I had no response. I was confused. I was like,
what happened there?
I actually almost asked my mother, like, does Granny go boxing at any time? Do you know of this? And it really was like, it felt so real that from then, bro, I just started like, because you remember back in the day, everybody would tease and guard, but it was always the same kind of content or the same kind of idea, and it always go around. So, I literally learned all of them. Like, I knew whatever guard could come with, I knew it already. I knew what you're gonna say. I knew a comeback. So I was always.
When you got to the battle, you've got a lifetime of like.
Yeah,
I can handle this.
I was always battle ready, bro. This was different in a way that I had to prepare. I had to prepare and be ready. I had to like look at people and think of how is this going to be funny for people that are watching who doesn't know you, because
there's no reference point.
Yeah, because it's easy to see somebody that everybody knows. because they know that you don't have a father, or they know that you broke your leg last week Thursday, or they know all that.
It's so sick. We used to mock each other about not having fathers.
That's the thing.
Your mother never loved you. Ooh.
Yeah, you want it to be as hurtful as you possibly can. And for me, I was never that person, right? I was never like hurtful, or I was never that guy. But when people started to tease, I was like, nah, bro, you're not gonna out tease me. No. I don't want to ever be out teased. So when it comes to doing
how do you prepare for it? How did you prepare for the battle? Right for each person.
Okay, this is what I did. So when they gave me the official thing to say, yo, the roast is on, what I did is I wrote like about 40 or 50 just teasers. Like
general, anyone.
Yeah. You're so fat, you're so thin, you're so tall, you're so dark, you're so old, you're so young, whatever. I just wrote. And I got that out of my system. I got it out of my mind. And it allowed my mind to go further and think of other things. Do you know what I mean? So like when people would say like, you're so tall or you're so fat, I was like, that was like level 1 of my writing. I already thought of that and I went further with it. So that's how I approached each one. I was like, I wrote, and I was in the final with Mark Banks, not actually Robbie.
With Mark, you were, okay, cool.
Yeah. And strangely, the only person I didn't write for, and I wrote for everybody, bruh. Like I wrote, because every round you have a possibility of like, you have 1, 2, 3, like 3 different people that you can come against.
Isn't it intimidating to be up against Mark?
It was, but I did like him.
He's like a legend,
he's a legend. He's the first comic I think I saw. Him and Mark.
He's the first thing that I watched and thought, oh my gosh.
That was me as well. He was literally the first one I ever seen. And I didn't write for him. I actually wrote for Dylan in the final. I was like, the only person that's gonna come through is Dylan.
Yeah.
And when Dylan went out, I was like, oh shit, I don't have anything for Mark, bruh. I literally had nothing for Mark. For like Robbie, I had like Ebenezer was the first. I had Ebenezer in the first round. And I thought, I'm just gonna write about how he looks and see how it goes. And then like even with Robbie, when he like people were laughing at not the jokes, I was doing like a warm up, but like, yo, why you? And they laugh and it counts. And it counts as a round. I'm like, oh shit, that wasn't even my bit.
Okay.
My bits were still going to
come. I thought there was more to come.
Yeah, so the way everyone's reacting, I'm like, I'm just going to leave it there and keep my bit for whatever he says. I'm going to come back with my bit. So I did the whole thing.
And then you get into the final and up against Mark. You got nothing written.
Nothing written for Mark whatsoever. Nothing. That's why if you see it, it just looks like I'm homophobic, because I could only think of the fact that I'm like, he's been gay like since before gay people cared how they look. Like I was just saying like I literally had nothing, right? And he had worse. Also, he had less. That was the thing. That was
what you would. He was also just prepared.
Yeah,
and I suppose that colored comedians throughout the lineup in the run-up, so he's probably exhausted all those. I suppose the stereotypes are being like that. Yeah, they're all being.
Yeah, like if I had Dylan, it would have made me better. I think I still have this big thing that gave me somewhere laying here. If I could just see it, let me see. I can't see it. They gave me that big ass ticket that makes you like
the first.
You can't. No, that ticket that you can get onto the plane.
Oh yeah. Like the big one when you win from ShopRite or something.
Yeah, it's laying in. I just can't see it right now.
I think and then it opens mad doors though, because you went to New York off the back of it.
I didn't get. That's the thing. I didn't get the prize, bruh.
What do you mean?
I didn't get the prize. Like, just look at my eyes. I didn't get the prize.
Wait, let's backtrack. So when you win the prize on the day, they give you the big check, and then they tell you.
That's what I'm saying. I got this big check and there's no bank to go to. There's nothing I can do with it.
What did you get out of it then?
FA, bruh. Because I went to
nothing.
Zero. So I went to London, and chilled, and I met and interviewed Mark Wahlberg, and Will Ferrell.
Now, you interviewed Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell on the back of winning the...
It was kind of I can't say consolation. It was just so I was supposed to go to New York and play in a festival, and then they lost their partnership with the festival. Then they said to me, "You can still go to the festival, but not as a guest of the festival. I was like, no, I don't want to go. Then I don't want to just go and just be there. And no, I don't want to go to New York and watch comedy, bro. I can watch comedy. I was like, no. I'm like, no, but when I get to New York, I want to be on stage in New York. I don't want to just be in New York. I can, and it's like, okay, cool. So they wanted to move. They moved it to like, okay, we'll do Chicago in thing. And then I was like, okay, that's fine. And they said, and they sent me to London, but that wasn't the prize. They do that thing anyway.
Okay, but they chose you because they were like, oh man, we didn't give them a chance to. But anyway, here's Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell go interview them they had a movie, right?
Yeah, Daddy's Home too.
Okay, cool. Now, when I watch those interviews and you see the person sitting and then you see the interviewer, I always thought to myself that there was just a set of questions or just a set of answers, and they just got someone to kind of, you can just put your own questions in there. But in your case, you actually met them. They were actually there in the room. Yeah,
they were in the room. So it was like, so you walk into this room and they've got like, it's obviously like multiple cameras all facing on you. The lighting is amazing. Wahlberg is sitting and they're both sitting next to each other. Will Ferrell, as you would imagine, he is. That's how he is.
Yeah,
like,
jokes all the time, just on the spin.
Funny. Yeah, very chill, very funny. And then I walk in there, then they like, so they introduce you as you come in. So there's a guy there, obviously, with the little notebook. But it's dope because I was in this hotel.
So how did they introduce you? What did they say? Who are you? Why are you here?
Yeah. So they say, this is Richelieu. And there's French people running the thing. There's French people making coffee and croissants in the green room. So I'm sitting in the green room eating croissants, and then. But the thing is, I got there late, and when I got there, I was like 5 minutes late, so they called me. So I just literally walked in, and then I went to sit
into the interview.
And
who are you representing there? Are you representing Viacom or?
So Comedy Central.
Okay, cool. And that interview is online. If people want to watch it, they can go online and they can check it out.
I can't even find the footage. I actually mailed them to try and get that footage to let people see it.
I saw it though. Where did I see it then? Was it on TV? It played?
Yeah, just before the movie. So they did like a build up to the movie. So they're busy and then I was in that. And so when you walk into the room, guys like, this is Richelieu Beaunoir from South Africa. He's a comedian. And then Will Ferrell. Yeah, then Will Ferrell was like, oh, this should be dope. Because I didn't have questions. I just had like bullshit questions like, who's a better father? Like just to say pride. That is a dope thing. That's why I wanted the footage, because I was trying to make them say South African words, and but it was so dope though. Like the way they did it was so dope. But from then I came back to South Africa, gave them the footage, and that was the end of the road, like boys to men.
Were they sitting down in the interview, or were they were okay? Yeah. So something I wanted to know is how big is Will Ferrell? Like, do you get a chance to shake his hand? Just sat down the whole time?
Yeah, no, he just sat down the whole time. So like, there's a camera facing me, and there's a camera facing them. So it's basically a bar of lighting. So you can't really. Well, it's awkward to go under that thing and greet them.
Yeah.
But I just
deliberately there to say, we stay here, we stay here.
No, after the thing, you're supposed to take photos. Like, you're allowed to take. You do a 5-minute interview, or you do a 4-minute interview and do a 1 minute for photos, that type of thing. But I didn't do the photos. I just did the interview and I bounced. Sure. That wasn't my choice. I didn't choose that though. I chose the photos, and dude was like, time's up, go.
Okay, so do you hang around afterwards in London, or is it in and out?
Yeah, so I flew out like, I flew out like 2 days after that. So I was stuck around for like a day or two. Just walked around, right? Bought sneakers. That's like what I would do. And then, but it was luck. I stayed in a dope section. I stayed in a nice hotel. They gave me like £100 a day to buy food, which was strange.
It's a lot of money for food.
Yeah. I'm ordering like 2 steaks, 5
Two things. How to get all these pounds, yeah.
That's what I was trying to do. Like, if somebody had to see the clips, they'd probably think I was staying with another person there, bro. Because I was like, I'm getting home because it's so safe. I'm walking around in the night, like 1 in the morning, bro.
Yeah, when you're South African, that's always a weird thing, right? You're always like, you just do it, look around, you're like, I can't believe this is...
and I'm like naive, bro. So I get there, I get to the ATM, I draw 300 pounds, which for me felt like a normal thing. But then when I get that SMS, there's like, I drew like 6 grand. But now I don't understand the currency, bro. So then you get to the bar and I'm like, I found a bar that was like, so once I want to do things, so I went
was this your first trip overseas?
No, it was my first trip there.
Okay.
But I'm like trying to do things that are normal. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I want fish and chips. I want to have an ale. And like, so I found a bar that had everything. Right?
You're trying to fit in.
And it's so weird because it's weird being in a place where you know nobody and there's no chance of seeing somebody that you know, like that type of thing. And I get to the bar and I'm like, can I get so it's only drinking the ale, bro. So I'm like, can I get an ale? And it was like, that's going to be 15 pounds. So I don't know. I take out like 6 grand worth of money. I'm like, this one, give him the back, you know. Like, nah, this is weird, though, but it was very cool.
Yeah. So in the end of it, you did get something out of it in that you got this trip at least. Because had you not won it, they might not have done that for you. But anyway, you do the trip. You're the Comedy Central champion. And I think for all of us that are in this business or in this game or in any form of entertainment, one of the things you try to do is you try to maximize the step that you make. So to build on whatever. Do you think that you were able to build on that achievement of being the roast battle champion?
I feel that it did put me in a better stance. So I was getting into different places as opposed to before. But I kind of like, because there's a second season, right? So that was, I won the first season. But for me, the second season was, they didn't include me. So like they called me on the Tuesday for a thing that they were shooting on like the Thursday. And I was like, then I said, no, bro, I can't make it. They're like, and they begged me. They're like, no, you got to come. And things, how does it look? Then I was like, no, but I don't want to come because I feel like you didn't want me to come. You can't form me 2 days later. My process is longer than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then I was like, I can't do it. And then I didn't do it. So that kind of they weren't happy with me, I guess, as Comedy Central, the brand. They weren't happy with that decision.
Mrs. Wells is coming back to give the count.
Yeah, I was like, no, because I still felt that, like I said to you, I don't want to lose. I don't want to come to have 2 days prep time for people that have been preparing at least I know for 2 to 3 weeks. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. And but that's why I didn't do the roast again. But with regards to just comedy in general, getting into different spaces and getting recognized differently, I think it did make a difference. Being the winner of the thing.
One of the things that you transitioned into was, and you were ahead of most of us on this one, was into like the podcasting game or the radio game, because you involved. How did you get involved with Cliff Central? Was it Cliff Central, right?
Right. So with that, Dusty used to do a thing at Cliff Central. It was called a guest comedy podcast or something. And Cliff Central is about their studio is about a kilometer from my house, like 500 meters.
Okay.
So every Friday when they were doing it, they didn't want me there. I would just go and hang out. So I'll just hang out there. And then Dusty went overseas. And when Dusty left, then it was open, and then they gave it to Levinson. Then Levinson called me to do an interview. Because remember, Levinson was also, I had Levinson in the roast as well. And
yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And I went to see him. I beat him. We did the show. I beat him the Thursday night. The Friday nights we were on the radio, on the podcast.
Together.
About how I beat him the night before. And then from then...
You've said I beat him about 3-4 times already.
Yeah, because I hope he has it. It really hurts him. But then after that, I was like, I showed him how I could add value to the whole thing. Because when I got there, I felt like I could add value in a way, because I like as much as I'm unstructured, I like structure. Even if it's a wobbly structure, at least there must be structure. So I came with like a structural approach to how I think we should do it. And from then I just became a part of the thing.
So now you're not. It's not just you and Levinson. There's a few other people in the works.
And Eric,
right?
just three.
And Eric
Hansen, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Actually, Kumbi was there as well before me. Kumbi and Nina, I think. Yeah. But they had an afternoon slot, so that's Friday afternoon.
And how long were you there for?
We were there for long, bro. Like long, I think at least a year.
Do you see around much while you were there?
I beg your pardon?
Did you see Garrett Cliff around?
When we were at the show?
Yeah, like he owns it, right? So was he?
Yeah.
It was at his studio.
He was there.
Okay.
Yeah, he was there. So he would.
Did he get involved? Or he kind of left you to the own thing?
Own thing. So he would just, like, long as you don't break the studio, kind of a thing. You can, because there's no rules. I mean, there's no, like, you can swear. There's no topics. You can say whatever. The topics are all free. So that was dope. And his office was there, so he'd be there every week, because he'd do like a 6. I think his was like early hours to like. So he'd finish, I think, just before we get there. So he'd be there. He'd hang out there. Very chill vibe. But like now, I was wondering how are they doing now since this lockdown? How does it affect his model?
Well, have you been following the news? He's been in the news a bit because he wrote a letter to the president.
I read the letter.
Did you read the letter? What did you think of it?
I don't know. It's like I feel like there's a lot of like people that put them, like, only see things from their perch. You know what I mean?
So you think that's the case in his case? It is kind of like
a lot of the time.
There's perspective.
Yeah. So it's
interesting that you even say that, because you never struck me as someone who's political. In fact, I can't tell you what your political position is on most things, because you're not someone who bites on people. Is there any reason that you kind of like keep your politics so close to your chest?
Because I don't. The thing is, like my family, they were heavily involved. When I was growing up, like my uncles were strong. Like they were part of moving. Like Neil already talks about how his dad was part of the movement. Like that's some of
Auntie Myrtle, right? Auntie Myrtle was.
Auntie's a counselor. Brothers, like they're all like the whole time. So always, like Brian, I used to walk around with these political T-shirts when we were lighties, and then we'd get like people wanted to know, where's my parents? Who gave you this T-shirt? And so when I'm 10 years old, walking around in Pick and Pay, and dudes are stopping me, like, we didn't want free jobs, or we didn't want jobs for all, like, you know what I mean? One, like all those, and we had slogan T-shirts, and that's, so I was very involved, and I was there. But then for me, like, it doesn't matter to me, like, what does my opinion mean to you? It doesn't mean anything. So I listen to people's opinions, and I'm like, okay, that's your opinion. Cool. How does it change anything? So for me, it's like, I just stay out of it. It's like religion for me. It's like, you don't see me discussing religion.
No, I never see you.
It doesn't end well for anybody. Like, you find out what I think, I find out what you think, and then that's the end of the conversation. Time wasted.
No, you're like you're saying, your family was quite involved in politics. People don't know this about Richelieu, but Beaunoir Avenue.
Right. That's after
your family.
Yeah.
How do you get a road named after you? How can I get a Goldstone Road in Newlands East?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know how the
Who was your grandfather? Was it your grandfather or your great grandfather?
My great grandfather. So I'll tell you what happened is, so if you go down, if you're from Durban, obviously, so Beaunoir Avenue runs from Quality Street, which is kind of the new section, all the way down to basically like the church, Christ the King side. So it runs very long. So that corner where there's like, I think there's a shop and stuff there. So that corner, all that land used to belong to my great grandfather. I don't know how, right?
Wow.
But he gave it to the church. So in our house, there's a thing, like a little plaque that they give you to say thank you. It's all in Latin, to thank them. So I guess the church was obviously also involved with the governments, which involved that the whole type of thing. So with that, I guess for them to say thank you for the land, they gave the road name.
So
So it
they
wasn't.
named it for all the land. And do we know why he gave the land away, not to his children? Like,
Yeah, I think it is one of those, those Balis that are selfish to their families. Like I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
think,
you know,
I don't,
you can't,
yeah,
you go work for money. That's
it
not
didn't
yours.
go down. Yeah, it didn't go
Uh,
down well with I think obviously his kids and his grandchildren. Because now that we could have had houses there.
Loads of it. You could have been the man he went with. The gatekeepers
Yeah,
of Wentworth would be the
right.
Bonwars with that mouth. Because that's prime Wentworth land. Like people
Yeah,
who know the layouts of Wentworth, where Bonwar Avenue is. Like most of those people that live in that road, they're doing a bit better. Like, like bigger houses, there's more space. It wasn't like,
yeah.
like
It
the
was.
Woodstock or whatever, but it was like prime land.
It's very nice because it was not right down in the swamps. It was up away from the swamps because like the grounds all down there was kind of swampy area.
Yeah.
So it was further up. It was closer that side of Quality Street towards Wentworth side, and I think all the way there, like a few blocks. That was the land. I've seen pictures of the land how it was before. It was amazing. It was massive, bro. But
And your grandfather or your great grandfather, was he South African?
I don't think so. So that's where the surname comes from. There was Mauritian.
He was Mauritian, right?
Yeah. So they
Okay,
came from
cool.
Mauritius.
Your great granny was also Mauritian, or
No,
was she South
from
African?
here. Yeah. They're from here.
Okay. And that's where the mix came. That's how we became what you are today.
Yeah, exactly. So, like,
So how do you
so
relate to the colored person? Do you kind of call yourself colored? Do you call yourself half Mauritian or self
I
mixed
have to
race?
go. I'm colored, bro. I have a colored mother and a colored father. There's no way I can be anything else. I'm literally a colored. I can't be like I'm a mixed like Tiger Woods. I'm half 1/8. This like
The,
that's
the
what
mix is too far. It's too
yeah.
far.
Because there's like
To,
there's Zulu on the other side of my family. Because like in the land of the Zulus, that's where my mother's people live. So there's obviously that Zulu connection there. So for me to dig in and find all of that is insane, bro. Like I don't even try. You can't even Google that shit. Like you go to those websites and like let me find my family tree. It's impossible.
yeah, because it's just
like
too far back. Like I also didn't keep records. I think in my case I can't find records because for some reason my family has lots of records and people were keeping records. But I think a lot of people don't have any photo. So you kind of almost, in some ways, you're making it up. Like, or this apparently they came from this part of the world. Apparently this one is this area. We kind of almost piecing it together. So just now that you find yourself like a comedian, like how do I call it? Like we are like semi-famous. Like you're not really famous, but recognizable. Don't know from somewhere.
Like Chris Ford says, you're on the C list. When people see you, when they see you, they know you.
Hey. So we live in that world, right? Hey. So wait, for yourself, as a how do you find that in terms of navigating through your life? Do you find that an advantage or a disadvantage? Because especially at a time like this, a pandemic, right? One of the issues that I'm grappling with in my head is going back to work, going back to a full-time job. And I can just, I used to, so, I was a journalist, and then I stopped being a journalist, and then I got this job handing out flyers on the road, in the streets. Someone came to my house and said to me, there's this job. I wasn't doing anything, so I said, I'll take the job. And so there I was, and as fate would have it, they posted me right near the independent newspaper offices where I used to work. So I'm handing out these flyers, and all these people that I used to deal with are driving past and say, hey, what happened? But like, a job is a job, right? Now, we've only got 25 seconds left. When I get into my this stage of my life, going back to work seems quite difficult. What about for you?
Bro, I don't know. So for me, I didn't like work.
I was gonna cut off in 10 seconds. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna cancel it. For those of you watching, I'm gonna end it, and then Richeleu's gonna come back and tell us how he feels about being famous.
About work.
Yeah, welcome back. So just before Instagram kicked us out, I was explaining to Richelieu how myself, like you're looking at the economy and when comedy comes back, comedy might not come back within the next year. how many of us can actually afford to sit around and wait for the stage to come back? And we do shows online, but it's not the same thing. It's not what we got in the game. So I've started applying for jobs personally. I apply for as many jobs as I could apply for, but it is a bit strange thinking to myself that if you were once if you are still currently well known, and then you rock up and then people see you in the office, I'm not sure how that's gonna work. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, that would be, I don't know, because I honestly haven't thought like that far into, because like after I spoke to you the last time and you were like, this like life is not going to be the same. I don't think.
Yeah.
And now it's the real, right? Comedy is not going to. It's not going to. Not even. I'm not talking about comedy specifically. Even all entertainment. I'm talking about. I don't know, inspirational talks, motivational talks, and like I haven't done any of these live videos with doing comedy and all that there because personally I don't. It's weird for me. Like
it is weird.
It's strange.
And it's just someone saying it's just not the same. And look, I do it because I think we're all in a situation as people where we want some form of entertainment, and so I do it because there's a demand for it. But I can be honest with you and say that I don't think this is a sustainable way forward for us for what we do. And I did a video, I think must be 2 months ago, basically saying that I think we need to change direction. And how do you feel? Do you think that as a comedian or as a performer of any sorts, that is going to be who you are, given that we've been through this period?
Like the online guy, or
just in general? Hey, aren't you a comedian? Does it still make sense when you actually can't get on stage?
It doesn't. It doesn't make sense. Like for me, I've also. You have to explore other avenues of, number one, generating income, bruh, which is obviously
selling masks.
The first thing. Which I won't do that. I don't want to be inside a beehive of people selling masks and hand sanitizer, and like it's not you. That's my rock bottom. I'm not gonna do that, bro. But I do, like, for me, I'm very adept at doing other things. Like, as much as I do comedy, I always do other things, bro.
Give me an example of some of the things that we can look out for. I know you do sneakers. You got this whole little online thing where you show how to do sneakers and stuff.
Sneakers.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so let me see this. I'm actually about to drop something crazy around the sneaker thing. I don't want to.
You don't want to preempt?
I don't want to tell you right now because I got like a week to go, and it's a little. It's just like early, so just give me like 8 days.
So should people watch? People keep following you, right? And just at some point,
absolutely,
it's gonna happen.
Yeah. So
cool.
So for me, I will do entertainment. So I am gonna do, like, I've always been sitting on ideas for doing live videos and that type of thing. But I also wanted to have something. So I wanted, like, I haven't done the sneaker thing or because sneaker, like, I don't only like clean sneakers, if you're quite honest. I clean everything, bro. It's just like the way I've been. It's the way you were raised. Grew up.
Yeah. Did you put oatmeal on your All-Stars and stuff? Were you that guy in the neighborhood who had all the secrets of how to make the Levi again?
That's the thing. So strangely, that's it, bro. Like, I do all that. Like, when you buy a Levi, I'll give you a hack. You buy a Levi, if you put it like in salt and vinegar and soak it for like the night and take it out the next day. Like, I don't wash them. I don't put them in a machine. Like my shirts, I don't wash them. I hang them in the shower. I don't wash, not in the machine.
Because that damages it, right?
Yeah, I don't use Stay Soft on my clothing, for argument's sake. Like, there's all these things, bro.
Stay Soft on your clothing?
Not at all.
Do you put Stay Soft in your car at least at the back?
No, bro.
Jeez,
so, like,
bro.
Strangely, when I was a lighty, bro, I know it's like about 11 or 12, I used to clean sneakers for like the big holes in the section, and they used to pay me. That's how, like, I was never a paper boy or anything. I used to clean sneakers from the time I was a lighty. Like, I would take them, and like, I never did the oatmeal thing. I always used to clean them properly. I didn't need to put the oatmeal. I would sit and meticulously clean and dry them in the shade. I was just crazy. So like with cleaning, I just do like cleaning. I got the vintage. So I do the vintage jackets, obviously.
Yeah. You said
Which,
basketball and baseball and NFL.
yeah. And even those, and I pick them up, they also need help, and then I bring them back to life, and then I move them on for a profit. And so like for now, for the sneaker thing, just give me a second. Oh, for the sneaker thing, I'm gonna like I'm saying, I don't want to tell you now, but you'll be literally the first one to know when I do something, which will be 8 days from when we're speaking now. So I want to move into like that space where it's like it's just makes sense to me. It's literally what's always in my life. I don't have time to do it because I'm always writing comedy.
Now people are going to see you differently after this because people know you on stage and you're always the dangerous comedian. Like if you've ever been to a show and Richelieu's hosting, you can feel the trepidation in the air where people are unsure. Like, what is he gonna say? Because you've built a brand, if I can call it that, on shooting from the hip. Right. You never see that coming. So they're gonna see you differently. Just as we kind of exit, in terms of the way you've done what you've done and you've made a name for yourself, right? As that guy. Have you ever had situations where you've taken someone on or you've made fun of someone and it just didn't sit well with them to a point where it became disruptive?
Where they like want to fight me or walk out?
Well, yeah, they want to fight you or they shout back. Because I've seen shows where the person likes just like back at them. I'll give you an example. I was in a show in the Winston and Dusty Rich was on stage. I don't know if you were there. I'm not sure. And him, Dusty, and Sami Arif. Now, I'm in my head, I'm confusing this. One of them, because they both could have done it, right? It was a crime. Who could have committed it? Well, I've got two key. In my head, I'm trying to picture who it was, but I think it was Dusty. It wasn't Sami. Anyway, and they started really, and it was like just like a back and forth like this, and it just wouldn't end with and it turned out to be the owner. I think it was Dusty, but it turned out to be the owner of the venue, and it was just like the most bizarre. Like the lady had she had like red hair in the middle, into black. You know how they do in the Winston. And then the comedian said, "Oh, it looks like your period's coming out of your head," and it was just like the whole space was just awkward to a point where they wanted to kill what was happening in the room. No, like I suppose saying it now doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would someone say that? But in the heat of what's happening, it was like, how can we go here to hurt each other? Because this person was knocking back too. Okay, two separate incidents. One was Simi, one was Dusty with another guy in the same room, facing the same direction. That's why it's confusing in mine. So in your case, they were looking. The person was by the same bar. So you know how the Winston set up, the bars on the side. So if someone's by the bar and they're heckling you, you're always looking in that direction. Right. So in your case, you've had many, many encounters with people where you've had the upper hand, so to say.
Yeah.
In a time where you were like, whoa, this one can go either way.
The thing is, I'll be honest, a lot of the times I think I've said things that I don't have regrets. You know what I mean?
You don't have regrets?
No, I don't. Like, I don't. If I had, think about it. If I had that, if I thought about how you felt when I say something, before I say something, I wouldn't be able to say anything at any time, bruh. So with that, my regrets is always retrospective. Do you know what I mean? It's
okay. Like, so you do have regrets, but retrospectively.
It's pointed out. It's somebody, not regret, but I'm saying like when someone says,
you think about it after.
Why would you say that to that guy? You can see that it doesn't work. You can see that he's thing. I'm like, but he's at a comedy show. I didn't walk up to him in church or by his mother's house, or you know what I mean.
He came here. He signed up for this kind of thing.
Yeah. So obviously, and I'll be honest, like in all the times I've been hosting shows for like the better part of 11 years. I can't think of one time where I said something to somebody which caused them to have some sort of a negative reaction. Like once there was a dude that got up after the show. He came to me and he's like, "Oh, you don't like people from Cape Town?" I was like, "I never said that." And then he squeezed my hand, like he put his hand up friendly.
Yeah.
And he squeezed it. Like, and I couldn't get it out. And then I swore him, and it got a little bit untidy. And it was at Parker's, and I was like, "Oh man!"
So untidy after because of the squeeze.
Yeah. But that's the only thing. Like even like I don't do Jesus bits. But I know I've got the most Jesus bits ever. But I've also now, when I watch any comedian do, not Jesus specifically, any religious thing that you do, I can see the energy of the room change the moment you say, "So Jesus," then people just change, right?
Yeah, you feel the whole energy change, and like I know exactly what you mean. And even if it's not like heavy blasphemous, it still makes the room uneasy. I'm gonna tell you like something that happened to me was when Joey Rasdeen had that incident at I think it was the marriage festival or the Muslim marriage festival, and he did some comedy and they were upset and they were shouting. There's a video of it, and they were quite upset.
They put a fatwa.
About 2-3 weeks after that, I had a gig with FNB Islamic, which is the Islamic bank. And we had a meeting, we sat down, we discussed everything. When we were done discussing everything, they gave me like a letter to sign. And so the guy, we hadn't discussed this up until this point. But the letter, they were basically making me sign a letter saying I will not do anything that has religious content, which is not hard for me necessarily, although I do have a few religious pieces, but from a personal point of view. And then I was like, yeah, that's not hard to do. And then the guy was like almost stopping me, like to say, don't think this is so easy. He says, no religious content. And then he said, don't even mention Jesus' name, because as Muslims, Jesus is also a prophet to us, Isa. So don't just leave it out altogether. Like a little clause that I had to sign. And then I kind of, and it's weird because it's not something I'd ever encountered where I had to actually consciously think about, oh my, do I have anything that's like subtly religious that I now have to pull? So in your case, and I think in all our case, we kind of share the line. And Trevor Noah has that piece that he's done on the Daily Show that's it's about Trump, and it's about people
that is changing
trusting Jesus to save them and going off coronavirus. I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but anyway, the gist of whatever it was there was the backlash is quite huge, particularly from our communities, like because our communities are quite religious. And I watched it a few times to kind of like, when a comedian does something, you're always trying to get in their head and try to understand why did they do this? What was their thinking? Because when a comedian puts together a piece, and we know the process, especially if it's got like sensitive topics, you don't just like give it out there. You almost so you think about it a bit more.
Yeah.
Have you ever
like my realization came at one of our shows at the Fed. So once a lady did get up, I had a bit about Jesus, about remember Jesus in the past that used to play for Man City, and I was like, Jesus is on the team. I had a bit about, imagine Jesus was on your team, and like Jesus be on the bench, and like it was nice, but I thought it was. Like
you thought it was.
Because the coach looks always says to Jesus, it's 10-0, there's like 4 minutes to go, they're crucifying us, you need to get out there. And then Jesus gets out there and he performs miracles, whatever. And it's one chick got up and she was like, boo, boo. And she walks out. And I was like, but Jesus would have forgiven me right then. And then
did you say that on stage?
I said that. Yeah, I said it.
Okay.
And people laughed and I carried my life. But then afterwards, I was doing the same bits at the Bat Center, and I looked around and I saw people like if someone walks in with a gun or something, and then I start cowering. And I was just, at that moment, I was like, I'm not gonna do these bits anymore, just because it doesn't help what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? And that's always my thing. It's like, if it doesn't help what I'm trying to do, which is entertain you, then I got to get rid of it.
Do you think comedians, do you think they have any responsibility to religious people or to people of any conviction?
I don't believe there's any responsibility to anything or anybody. Like for me,
But there's
like
some sort of responsibility. It can't just be like gung ho, do whatever you like. Or else you'll have people saying, calling black people and other people monkeys on stage. Because there has to be some sort of line.
Yeah, but that's what would get you would get rid of yourself by doing that. Do you know what I mean? The responsibility is in your head to know what to say in order to entertain. If you feel that you can say a whole lot of racist things or a whole lot of religious things or anything you want to, people would just not respond. You won't get booked. People will not laugh at you. Nobody would be there. So that would get rid of you. So with that, like, I'm not saying that you can't say anything. I am saying you can't say anything, but you can't say anything about anything. You know what I mean? You have to be subtle.
That makes so much sense.
You can't say anything about anything. You got to be subtle about it. Like, if you want to speak about something, like for me, rape jokes are like the one thing that for me is like,
you don't mess with
I don't want to hear it. I don't like I'm saying. So that's where like everybody's.
What about rape jokes like that involve males in jail? Whatever. You don't mess with any of that stuff. That's all off really off limits.
I don't like it.
I think the industry. So in some ways, there's a self-regulation that's happening between different comics. Everyone's deciding, and audiences. I find the audiences do regulate you with their laughter.
That's it. So that's it. If you got on stage and just did a whole lot of religious, a whole lot of rape jokes, a whole lot of sex, just whatever, people would love you, possibly, but likely they wouldn't. So that's where the natural progression is. That's where I feel that's where the culling system works. Because like a lot of new comics think that these dudes are idiots. They just want to talk about traffic. Watch me. I'm gonna talk there. Yeah.
Example, right? There's okay. I suppose this is always difficult because on stage it sounds like one thing. When you tweet it or you put it on Facebook, it always has a different tone. But you had the guy, I forget his name, but he's the guy who did the Dross rape joke.
Yes. No.
Whatever his name is, however you look at it, like when you look at it on stage, there was no way that this Dross rape joke that he told was going to work.
Never.
But
it doesn't for clubs.
Yeah, but this is what you're saying, right? You're saying that in the early stages of your career, you actually think that I'm gonna show them and I'm gonna make a name for myself here, and people are gonna say, "Whoa, I love that guy, it's edgy." So I'm asking now, when you choose that path, right? Do you have a responsibility to anyone besides yourself?
When you choose the path,
the audience will laugh or not laugh and kind of tell you how they feel about it, but that doesn't mean that you now. If you pull back, that's more out of you not wanting to be unpopular with the audience or to not want to be unpopular in comedy. To comedian yourself, like, does he have a responsibility, or do I have a responsibility to myself to say this is not on, or is that like something that we just kind of navigate as individuals?
I think it's as individuals, because you have a responsibility to yourself, right? So like if you think about it, let's think about your material. If you think about going to a gig, if you think about all that, when you walk out onto the stage, you get paid for doing however many minutes. You want to come out, you want to entertain, you don't want to offend. Like, it's all there, right? For me, you do offend people no matter what you do, right? No, like, you could literally go out there and sing.
You're gonna offend someone. I found that out. I'm pretty safe. I regularly offend people, and you wouldn't know it, but I always get inboxes like all the time, and I'm just like, what do you want me to say? That you don't want to be offended. All offended.
Are we attached? I think that comes from you setting the bar. Exactly that. So you set the bar where people expect you to be, like when I was saying, when I first saw you, I knew that you were Carvin the church guy, right? And Carvin the church guy must do a joke about how homeless people can't do that. And I'll be like, that's not of him. You know what I mean? And
well, let me just say, I'm not really a church guy like how you understand it.
No,
but
no. I know who you are, but I'm saying who I thought you were when I first met you, and who it's different now. It's like fucking years later. But now, when you get on stage, right, no matter what you say, you can offend somebody, right? Like for me, I think the reason that I don't care whether I offend you or not is the reason I think in my life never gotten an inbox from anybody, bruh, that said, yo, last night that bit about dogs or whatever. Nobody has ever done that.
In some ways, do you think the more outrageous you are as a comedian, the more you give yourself room to do like all sorts of material, and when you kind of put restraints on yourself, then you attract an audience that expects you to perform within those restraints.
Yes, you tell them how to treat you, I guess. Like for me, it's not, like I don't see myself as somebody who does anything or says anything, but I think I do come across as somebody who doesn't care what you think, regardless. I can do anything. So if you like, let me inbox this guy. What do I think he's gonna say? Well, I'm like, I'm not gonna care.
Okay, which makes me want to ask this question: why are you a comedian?
Why am I a comedian? So for me,
it's an important question for me that I had to ask myself, and I'm very interested to know from all our colleagues, why are you a comedian? So yeah, man, why are you a comedian, Richelieu?
Okay, so for me, I'll tell you why. Let's go back to how I started doing comedy. So I started doing comedy, like my first gigs I used to do was to my father's friends when they were drunk, right? So my father used to buy me joke books, right? And I would always have these joke books. Like Christmas, I got a joke book. My birthday, I'd get a joke book, 1,000 jokes, 1,000 bar jokes, 100 jokes to do, like toilet jokes. Like I had all of those things, right? And so what would happen is when, at that time, I didn't know, but what he'd do is like after a while, he'd call me over, like, come here. I'd get there and he'd be like, tell jokes. And I would just go, bruh. I would just go. There was a fat man, a thin man, and a short man. There was a guy with a pot and a guy with a bicycle. Like I would like jokey jokes, as you call him. So it's like, so that thing was always instilled in me that, like, my brother and I used to do shows at our house, bruh. It wasn't specifically comedy, but we used to get all the lights from there, and they used to sit on the side of the house, and we'd take scenes from movies that we think were funny, like movies, cartoons, anything. And we'd stand around the corner and we'd like, okay, cool, we're going to do this. And we'd both come out to like, sometimes we'd do it with no vocal, nothing. Sometimes it was speaking. Sometimes it was completely physical. But I was always into that thing where I wanted people to be entertained somehow. You know what I mean? But I didn't realize at the time what the thing was, right? Until I think I met you. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
That was for me the moment was like, I'm going to try this thing. And then when I got onto the stage for the first time and people respond to what you're saying, and these thoughts are coming from my mind, and I'm like, these people are listening to what I'm saying. Number one, they're understanding what I'm saying, and they're responding in a way that I think, and sometimes differently, but all the time it just felt good. So for me, it's always been that thing that I want to, I don't want you to like me as me. I don't want you to like me. I don't want you to see me in the mall and buy me a coffee. You know what I mean? But I want you to grasp what I'm saying and to respond to that. And that's, I think, why I do comedy, is that I've always got that thing that I want you to listen and I want you to enjoy what I'm saying here. And I'm hooked in that.
Do you think that squeezes your audience a bit? Do you think it makes the people that you can reach less if you don't have those restraints? Because I suppose in some ways, if people know what they can expect, it's like fast food, right? You go to KFC, you know what it's going to taste like, and you kind of go back to KFC because you know, like, it's not going to make me sick, or it is going to make me fat, but I'm okay with that kind of vibes. So do you think in some ways having the unexpected in its own way limits an audience, or do you think it creates its own audience?
I think it creates its own audience because, like, I'm always surprised by who listens, who comes out, who, like, it's not people who you think it is. Do you know what I mean? So at the beginning, I knew who it was. I knew who would want to listen to what I'm about to say, who would appeal to, who would like. But now there's so many people that have come through the front of you, some people that have experienced you, witnessed you, that now I don't know who those people are. So I can't even say where it's limited. I can't I can't say that room's not for me. Do you know what I mean? Like I won't say, oh no, there's only Afrikaners there, I can't play there, or there's only rich people there, or like, because that's what limits you. Is like limiting me is if I can't play in a place or I can't entertain a room, that's limiting. And I don't.
Okay, so let me maybe put it this way: when you've kind of become a comedian or performer where people know that you might say things that and you won't care what their feelings are,
right?
When you're putting on a show or you're putting on an event, does it limit you in that way? In that, not so much when you step into another room that's already set up. Okay. Your own audience that you're building.
That, I don't know if that's possible, because like I haven't really broken it up. Like I haven't thought of are people looking at this thing and me like, oh no, I can't go. You know what I mean? I just think that if you come through and you see, you will come through again. Like I don't know if it's like do I need to. When I say I don't care what you think, it's like I'm not saying I'm going to talk about things that are not comfortable. I don't want you to be uncomfortable. I just don't care what I have my opinion. Like I said to you earlier, I have. You're not going to control what I'm going to say. Yeah, I'm going to say it. I get it. I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but I'm like, it's me. It's called performing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You come and watch a performance. You can't, if you got an opinion, like if I'm watching a movie or I'm watching something, I can't have an opinion on that guy's relationship with that lady. Once the movie is over, it's over. If they do another movie, I'll go check it out again. So like, I like that guy. He's strong. Cool. Okay. So anyway, so I don't know about the like how the reach works. You know what I mean? Like I don't know the algorithm of reach. Like if you do X, Y, and Z, or if you make people feel a certain way about you, what does that change about their opinion on you and whether they'll buy tickets or whether they'll follow you on Twitter? Or, you know what I mean? I don't lose sleep over there. Okay. Which is weird. Cool. Richelieu, thank you so much for this long conversation. And to everyone, I'm not sure who actually sat through both lives, but I am going to cut it up and post it on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else. And the reason it's in this format is so easy to read. So for those of you, someone wrote there that their neck is dead. Thank you for hanging out. Richelieu Beaunoir, follow him on Instagram. And he's dropping a new something. He's being very discreet about it. And it's coming in the next days. You were specific about 8 days, though. So obviously, but is that the terms and conditions of delivery? Oh no, yeah, no, that's still more time. It's just like I'm giving myself that time. But I'll actually message you and I'll show you some shit. Okay, cool, man. Thanks, Richelieu, for your time. Thanks for having me, bro. Peace. Peace.
I first fell in love with comedy, I think when I was at a very young age, because backstory, my father used to, every single year for Christmas, he would buy me a joke book. Like, it was just a thing you do. So like you get like 1,000 jokes or jokes for bar jokes and whatever. Some of them weren't even appropriate for my age at the time. So he'd buy them for me, and then what would happen is every time he went to visit one of his friends, he'd be like, come here, tell him a joke. And I always had like just jokes. I fell in love with comedy at a very, very early age, but I only started performing later on. I didn't realize that I was in love with it to the point where I want to be on stage until I was approached to perform by a random guy who was like, I heard you funny, because I didn't stop the thing, I always just tell jokes. And then he's like, I heard you funny, come in, we're doing a show, come and perform. Then I was like, no way. But funny enough, I actually had written a 20-minute set, because I was watching comedy and I just used to write my own ideas. Then I said, these are my ideas, if you really want me to come. He's like, those are so funny, you need to try it. And then, like they say, the rest is history.
So that's me, my name is Richelieu. I know. Colored guy named off the brandy. When you see a colored person, they assume, the first assumption, firstly they think we're violent. It's not true. They always think when I meet somebody, they always think I got a knife. I don't have a knife on me right now. It's in my car.
So I started doing comedy in Durban, And while I was there, Robbie Collins was in Joburg already, and he was here for a short while. And then he was in Durban. I was running a gig. I was doing comedy for 2 months, and the first gig actually was the gig that we put together. And then from then we ran the gig. It just became something. And Robbie came down and performed, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'm in Joburg." I'm like, "What do you do in Joburg?" He's like, "No, he performed." And he's like, "I performed with the Richelieu Beaunoir and Trevor Noah, and then Goliaths." I'm like, "Huh? Like how? Like what happens?" He's like, "No, they have like a whole lot of comedy gigs and like shows that happen." For me, it sounded like it's unreal. It's like, what do you mean they have comedy? Because in Durban we had, I think, 3 gigs. Like they would happen like over a month. You'd have 2 opportunities to perform. And then he was like, "No, we have," like he's mentioning like every day. So I said, "I have to come and check it out." So I literally just, after I left work, 2 more months, I was just packed my bags and I came to Joburg. I was like, "I'm here."
I feel that this is supposed to be a happy occasion. What's up with the long face?
So yeah, I won the Comedy Central Roast Battle, which is the Roast Battle is basically, to give you some perspective, it's 2 comics that stand on stage and they insult each other, and whoever has the best insults goes through to the next round and the next round. So I went through all that insulting people, which is also something I've been doing my entire life. So I've been prepared for that. I've like, people are like, "You need to write." I'm like, "I don't need to write. I'd insult anybody like anytime." Like we've been doing it because where I grew up in the hood, that was normal. Like we'd sit for like 2 or 3 hours and literally just insult each other until somebody gets angry or somebody gets stabbed. Like whichever comes first, that happened. And then, so when they said they're having this, they were like, "Would you like to be in?" I'm like, "Of course I'm gonna be in." Joburg, I love performing in Joburg because Joburg, it's the diversity of Joburg it's amazing that when it comes closer to the city center, it's always gonna be a full mix of people, and that's what I like about Just. Like your material will work everywhere basically, like as long as you, because when you get to Durban or whatever, you find out that your material has become more standard as opposed to more directed at one race or directed to one creed or culture. Joburg helps you to write material that's more standardized for the international scene, I would say. I like that.